the idea of walking around aimlessly is like the worst idea in the world. It's like zero purpose, zero mission, zero certainty at all. It's like walking around in no man's land,
right,
aimlessly.
But it's funny too, because in no man's land, everybody's shooting at you. Right, because that's a military term.
Right.
And no man's land is the space
in the
between
middle
two
when
enemy
everyone's
positions.
Coming at
You bet. So if you're aimless, you're also at a place where everything is shooting at you.
Dang.
Yeah. So it's a very good metaphor
deep.
that came to mind.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's why I
pulled
remarked
out
on it. That's very, very cool. So then we say to people, okay, look now. Okay, now you've thought about this for a while. It's nice to do this over a couple of days too, because then you get to sleep on it, and that helps reorient yourself.
Yes.
So then, okay, now you write for 20 minutes. Don't worry about grammar or spelling. This isn't a composition exercise, right? You get to have what you want 3 to 5 years down the road. What does your life look like, hypothetically? Mm-hmm. Write it out. Yeah. Write it out. Okay, so then that's the first part. The second part of the exercise, so now you've got your thing to aim at. You think, well, I'm motivated because I got my thing to aim at. Yeah. It's like you're not as motivated as you could be because you don't yet have your thing to run away from. Because if you really want to be motivated, you want to be going somewhere and you want to be not going somewhere else.
Which typically is a pain,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, or pain or anxiety. Yeah, it's some domain of suffering and guilt, let's say.
I don't want to feel this anymore.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So the other thing we ask people is, okay, now take stock of your weaknesses and imagine that you let them multiply. You got hopeless, mm-hmm. and you augured in and things were as bad for you as they could be in 3 to 5 years.
What are some examples of weaknesses that people might have?
They lie, they procrastinate, they avoid, they're grandiose, they're narcissistic, they're undisciplined, they're nihilistic, they're aimless, all of those things.
Got it, yeah.
Right?
Victim
mentality. They take the quick way out. They mm-hmm. pursue impulsive pleasures. They sacrifice meaning for expediency. They don't take care of their basic responsibilities. They fight stupidly with their parents. They don't negotiate properly with their spouse. They're bitter at work because they haven't said what they have to say. They haven't thought through what they're doing tomorrow. They drink too much. They smoke too much. They take too many drugs. They don't regulate their
work out,
so there's like, and
so
everyone knows, man, everyone knows, and everyone's got a set of weaknesses that they know about, and so.
What are some of your weaknesses, like 3 weaknesses that you know right now you could still work on, and then 3 things that you think are really...
Well, a lot of things are things that I've taken care of in my life. Like I used to smoke when I was a kid. I smoked a pack a day. I used to drink a lot. I didn't work out. Like I wasn't nearly as disciplined as I should have been. I wasn't as careful with what I was saying. Like I suppose
were loose.
My most likely negative outcome probably would have been I really like to drink. Like alcohol was a really good drug for me.
Is that why you did your thesis on that?
Well, partly. It was mostly because the opportunity came up for me to investigate drug and alcohol use. But I came from a little town in northern Alberta. It was a heavy drinking town, and that could have been a real trap for me.
Right.
You know, and so anyway, so we have these people. We say, okay, now you know your weaknesses. And you know what particular hell you would descend to if you allowed yourself to descend into it, because you've probably had a taste of it. It's like you really let that go and you're in a terrible place in 3 to 5 years because you haven't done what you should do. What does that look like? It's like everybody writes that down. Yeah. Write it down so you know, because one of the things you want to have behind you, let's say you have to do something difficult like go confront your boss. It's like, well, maybe hope isn't enough to encourage you to do that. You think, well, no, if I don't go confront my boss carefully, intelligently, then I'm going to hate my job, and then I'm going to drink more, then I'm going to end up in that little hell place that I designed for myself. It's like, oh, I'm not going there. Well, I don't want to talk to my boss, or I don't want to confront my wife or my husband, whatever it is, or my father, or my children for that matter. But if I don't,
then I'll resent myself or resent the situation.
I'm going to end up going down this terrible pathway. It's like, because sometimes when you're moving forward, you have to do something difficult. You might think, well, why bother? And the answer is, well, so I don't end up in hell. How about that?